A historic condemnation, the UN General Assembly's stance on Israeli occupation. The United Nations General Assembly recently voted overwhelmingly to condemn Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories. This vote reflects a growing global consensus on the illegality and unsustainability of the occupation. The resolution, adopted with a significant majority, underscores the international community's unwavering commitment to a just and lasting peace in the region. The vote serves as a powerful indictment of Israel's actions and a call for accountability. This vote is not merely symbolic. It carries profound legal and moral weight. It reaffirms the applicability of international law, including the Fourth Geneva Convention, to the occupied territories. The vote also highlights the urgent need for a negotiated two-state solution based on pre-1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as the capital of a viable and independent Palestinian state. The international community's condemnation of the occupation is not new. Numerous UN resolutions have called for an end to the occupation and a just resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, this recent vote is particularly significant due to the growing international isolation of Israel. This isolation is a direct result of its continued defiance of international law and its intransigence in peace negotiations. The vote should serve as a wake-up call for Israel. It must realize that its current policies are unsustainable and counterproductive. The only path to peace and security for both Israelis and Palestinians lies in ending the occupation and engaging in good faith negotiations. The time for meaningful action is now. Key provisions of the resolution. A blueprint for peace and justice. The UNGA resolution outlines a comprehensive framework for achieving a just and lasting peace in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The resolution calls for the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from all occupied territories. It demands a cessation of all Israeli settlement activity in the occupied territories. Furthermore, the resolution calls for the dismantling of the separation barrier deemed illegal by the International Court of Justice. The resolution reaffirms the right of return for Palestinian refugees displaced since 1948. The resolution's provisions offer a clear roadmap for resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Roots of conflict: a century of contention in the Holy Land. The current Israeli-Palestinian conflict is deeply rooted in history, marked by competing narratives and claims to the same land. The late 19th century saw the rise of Zionism, a movement advocating for a Jewish state in Palestine, then part of the Ottoman Empire. This period also witnessed the emergence of Palestinian nationalism, asserting the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination on their land. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, a British document expressing support for a Jewish national home in Palestine, further complicated the situation. This declaration, made without consulting the indigenous Palestinian population, sowed the seeds of future conflict. The British Mandate for Palestine, established after World War I, failed to reconcile these competing aspirations, leading to increasing tensions and violence between Jewish and Arab communities. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War resulted in Israel's creation and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, creating a lasting refugee crisis. The 1967 Six-Day War led to Israel's occupation of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip, further exacerbating the conflict. Subsequent decades witnessed failed peace initiatives, two Palestinian intifadas, uprisings, and the expansion of Israeli settlements in the occupied territories. Understanding this historical context is crucial for grasping the complexities of the present-day conflict. Addressing the legacies of dispossession, displacement, and occupation is essential for achieving a just and lasting peace. Section 4. The occupation under international law, a clear violation of international norms. The Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories is unequivocally deemed illegal under international law. This occupation, lasting for over 5 decades, constitutes a flagrant violation of fundamental principles enshrined in the UN Charter, customary international law, and various international human rights conventions. The Fourth Geneva Convention, ratified by both Israel and the international community, explicitly prohibits an occupying power from transferring its civilian population into occupied territory. Yet, Israel's settlement enterprise in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, involving the transfer of its citizens into these areas, directly contravenes this core principle. These settlements are widely considered illegal under international law and constitute a major obstacle to peace. Furthermore, the International Court of Justice, in its 2004 advisory opinion on the separation barrier, ruled that the barrier's construction within the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, violates international law. This ruling emphasized the illegality of acquiring territory by force and reaffirmed the applicability of international humanitarian law, including the Fourth Geneva Convention, to the occupied Palestinian territories. Israel's continued defiance of these legal obligations has severe consequences. It undermines the international legal order, erodes respect for human rights, and fuels the cycle of violence and instability in the region. Holding Israel accountable for its violations is essential for upholding the rule of law and achieving a just and lasting peace. Section 5. Political Dynamics. Navigating a complex web of actors. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is characterized by complex political dynamics involving various internal and external actors. Internally, within Israel, the political landscape is marked by divisions over the future of the occupation and the viability of a two-state solution. The rise of right-wing nationalist ideologies has further complicated the situation, with some advocating for annexation of parts of the West Bank, effectively ending any prospects for a Palestinian state. On the Palestinian side, political divisions between Fatah, which governs the West Bank, and Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip, continue to hinder efforts at reconciliation and unified representation. This internal fragmentation weakens the Palestinian negotiating position and hinders efforts to present a united front in international forums. Externally, the United States has historically played a significant role as a mediator in the conflict. However, its recent policies, perceived as biased towards Israel, have eroded its credibility as an honest broker. The US's unwavering support for Israel, often shielding it from international pressure, has emboldened its intransigence and hampered progress towards a just peace. Regional actors, including Arab states and organizations, also exert significant influence. The Arab Peace Initiative, endorsed by the Arab League in 2002, offers a comprehensive framework for peace based on a two-state solution. However, Israel's continued settlement expansion and its unwillingness to engage with the initiative have hampered its implementation. Section 6. The human cost of occupation, a stark reality in Gaza and the West Bank. The Israeli occupation exacts a heavy toll on the daily lives of Palestinians, resulting in a dire humanitarian situation. In the West Bank, the presence of Israeli settlements, checkpoints, and the separation barrier severely restricts Palestinian freedom of movement, hindering access to healthcare, education, and economic opportunities. The confiscation of Palestinian land for settlement expansion further exacerbates socio-economic hardship. In Gaza, under Israeli blockade for over a decade, the situation is even more dire. The blockade has crippled the economy, fueled unemployment, and severely restricted access to essential goods and services. The population suffers from chronic shortages of water, electricity, and medical supplies, creating a humanitarian crisis. Moreover, the occupation has resulted in widespread human rights violations. Palestinians face systematic discrimination, arbitrary detention, home demolitions, and settler violence. These violations occur with impunity, creating a culture of fear and injustice. Addressing this humanitarian crisis is not only a moral imperative, but also crucial for creating an environment conducive to peace. The international community must pressure Israel to lift the blockade on Gaza, ease restrictions on movement in the West Bank, and end all human rights violations. Failure to do so will only perpetuate the cycle of violence and suffering.